Use of personality assessments in employment. Using personality tests in the hiring process is becoming more common. While many companies use personality tests for career development, 22% of employees use them to assess candidates' personality traits. Personality deals with individual differences and characteristic patterns of thinking, feeling, and behaving. Personality deals with individual differences and characteristic patterns of thinking, feeling, and behaving. Robert S. Woodworth created the first personality test. Personality test began with Woodworth Personality Data Sheet, also known as the Woodworth Psychoneurology Inventory, in 1917. Testing was developed to pinpoint soldiers in the Army prone to nervous breakdowns during enemy bombardment in World War I. After paving the way, many competing personality tests were developed for use. Many of these tests, like Woodworth, focus on many construct employee mental adjustment were considered important in screening out applicants who would create workplace disturbance. Personality assessments in employment. Personality assessment has the candidates answer a sequence of questions. The answers recorded then creates a detailed report about the candidate's personalities and behaviors. Candidates' answers then decide if they are a strong fit for the job in terms of preferred working environment, work ethic, company goals, potential strength, as well as weakness and interaction style. Why are assessments in employment important? It's important because it can help retain talent, lower turnover rate, increases employees' loyalty, minimize the cost of hiring, training costs by supplying employees with data that will assist in hiring the right fit the first time. And it's also a less time-consuming hiring process. The most common employee personality test is the Myers-Briggs test, also known as MBID. The most common used, but not the only one that is used. The test is based off of Carl Jung theories. Carl Jung is a pioneer in the field of psychiatry. Has 93 questions, 2 answers to choose from. Candidates' response determines the tendencies they learn towards each of the following categories: extrovert or introvert, sensing or intuition, thinking or feeling, judging or perceiving. There are 16 possible types that can emerge from combination of these categories. Personality tests, questions, and samples used by employees. I remember when I first started as a dependency case manager in the state of Florida, and we had a test that we had to take pretty much to determine were we a sex offender. A lot of us found that test to be kind of disrespectful, but answering the questions, it helped us to understand that pretty much the test was just trying to just see where our minds at, how we react to certain things, what stuff that we found disgusting, what stuff that we think that we should contact law enforcement on, due to the fact that we were going to be dealing pretty much with a lot of kids from all ages, having children that have severe mental health issues, to having low IQs, and they just wanted to just make sure that all of the case managers coming in did not have a trait of being a child molester in them. Most personality tests consist of 25 questions, and they give you about 10 minutes to answer. So you kind of got to read kind of quick and just go with your first answer. I guess that is a trick to try to see, can you be consistent throughout everything that you are answering. So here is a list of some of the questions that they most of the time they ask you when doing this test. I feel like I'm on an emotional roller coaster. Do you feel like that quite often? Often, sometimes, rarely, almost never. And as I stated before, we're going through these questions. It's pretty much just to try to see how consistent can you be, because it's easy for anyone to answer one question the first time. But can you answer number 1 the same, and then when you get to number 25 and they ask you that same question but just in a different way, can you provide that same answer? So that, I guess that is their way of also seeing that who is telling the truth. Is this really something that is this your real personality trait, or are you just answering this question just so that you could be able to get this job? Here's an example of a forced choice scale used in DISC classic assessment. List of 3 or 4 objective or statements. Candidates will be asked to rank them from the one that is the most like themselves to the one that is the least like themselves. So, pretty much when you're answering this, here's this, that, okay, how do you see yourself? Do you see yourself as being daring? Do you see yourself as being satisfied, enthusiastic, the diplomatic? So you just kind of just answer those, and what is your best characteristic all the way down to your least. For me, I guess I'm not very diplomatic, but I do try to be very satisfied and enthusiastic with my job. So that would be the 1 and 2 that will rank if I was taking this test. I have included the open-ended assessment. Again, with my career, if we didn't have those tests to see if you were, a sex offender, we would have to write a written response to a scenario just to see how we would handle ourselves. So here is some of the questions that people normally ask you when you are doing those written assignments. How do you handle stress and pressure? What motivates you? Describe your work style. What are your passions? So these are just pretty much open-ended questions to measure your tendency and preference based off your written response. Employment assessment applications in today's society. Pre-hire assessments are popular and is growing among companies that desire more predictive accuracies in their hiring process. According to the Talent Board 2016 Candidates Experience Research Report, 82% of companies are using some form of pre-employment assessment test, and how they use assessments is evolving. Assessments once primarily were used for executive and mid-level leadership positions. Today, they are commonly used for hourly and entry-level jobs. The tests are usually administered on a computer. You can take the assessment right from a computer. Most assessments begin after the applicant has filled out the employment application. Ethical issues and personality assessments in the employment. If a selection decision is challenged and determined to be discriminatory or in violation of state or federal regulations, employees run the risk of applicants taking legal actions. Tests used in the selection process must be legal, reliable, authentic, and unbiased. And HR professionals need to stay aware of any development trends. Cultural and societal issues and personality assessment testing. A psychologist at the University of Southern California by the name of Newton S. Mentalfield found that being cultural disadvantage and cultural factors such as home, family structures, personality, social characteristics, and learning characteristics handicap performance on tests. Testing is also geared towards middle-class white people and not minorities, and this is why the so-called Negro adults achieve lower scores than those of their counterparts. It has also been questioned whether many professional developability tests used by employers who select qualified candidates do it in fact discriminate accidental. Cultural issues continue. Those in power in the field of psychological testing have recommended proposals for activating the results of unintentional types of discriminating against minority groups. There are many civil rights groups that have begun taking issues with personality testing. One reason is that personality testing provides a convenient way for an employee who desires to exclude certain groups of people to do so legally. An employee cannot choose an applicant based on factors such as race, age, religion, national origin, sexual orientation, gender, pregnancy, disability, or other similar characteristics. However, deciding to hire or not hire someone based on personality profile and characteristic is currently not illegal. But some experts believe that personality tests may actually discriminate indirectly. For instance, a personality test that shows how long would your commute to work be may discriminate against an applicant from a minority neighborhood that may be located a long way from the office. Personality assessment tests can be a good thing when hiring someone, as long as that the company is using it for the right reason. Personality tests can be used to determine whether an applicant would be a great fit for a particular job and therefore a successful employee. The belief is that the test can help determine whether the applicant personality will mesh well with the personalities of others within the company. The use of the personality test in the last 10 years have increased drastically. According to experts, approximately 60 to 70% of applicants in the United States are asked to take a personality test. In fact, employment personality tests are actually a $500 million a year industry, which is continued to grow as of today. I have included a list of references here that you might be able to use to look at more research in reference to the pros and cons of using the personality assessments in your company. I hope that this has been a learning experience, and I hope that you have been able to learn a lot in reference to personality assessment in the workplace. And I hope that we are able to come up with more ways to make sure that these tests are being used the correct way and not being used to discriminate against anyone based off their social and economic background. Thank you for taking the time out to watch my video and learn more as I learned more in reference to this assessment.